Hey everyone, hope you're feeling good today because there's a whole lot to unpack. The temperature over here has been rising both weather-wise and in the football world. And yes, the big news, Celtic are back in preseason training. They've been busy for a few days now and we're just 2 days away from the first proper match action of the season. Even better, we got the first full-length interview of the season with Brendan Rodgers exclusive on Celtic TV, and folks, there's more to talk about than a Sunday roast. Rodgers was his usual composed self, settling into that familiar spot at Lennoxtown, chatting through dozens of topics. The length of it was a treat. It's always refreshing when a club's own channel goes deeper than the tabloids on transfer gossip. He spoke about loads, so let's ease into what came out of that chat. To start off, Rodgers admitted he had a proper summer break, got in some rounds of golf, which won't surprise anyone, and even squeezed in a bit of cycling, which was a wee bit unexpected. But good on him for switching off. That said, as always, he had football on his mind. He's always thinking ahead, especially as the manager of a club like Celtic. Given how the back end of last season went, the Scottish Cup final, and the dip in form in the league, it's clear Rodgers has been putting work in behind the scenes. Personally, I've got a hunch we might see a more classic Brendan Rodgers style side this season compared to last. There's a natural feel to the way he spoke, so I'm eager to see that come through in pre-season friendlies and, more importantly, in competitive matches. Then we moved on to the new signings, and Rodgers had updates on each one. First up was Kieran Tierney, and it's obvious Rodgers is delighted he's back. He mentioned they'd actually met over the summer, maybe it was just a chat or something more in depth, but the point is clear: Tierney is genuinely happy to be back at Celtic, and Rodgers expects him to be in the prime of his career. That's a big boost, because a returning hero playing at peak level is a huge asset. Next, Benjamin Negrin. Quite a surprise on that front. Rodgers said Negrin was brought to his attention by none other than Michael Essien, the former Chelsea legend who's now involved with the Right to Dream Academy in Norway. Essien's recommendation clearly carried weight. Rodgers highlighted Negrin's versatility, saying he's comfortable playing as a number 8 or drifting wider. That versatility could hint at a shift in tactics, maybe a 4-2-3-1 with Negrin off to the right behind the striker. It certainly gives Rodgers more options, and I'm keen to see how he fits in during the next matches. On Callum McGregor's understudy Ross Donis, Ross, Rodgers said they're evaluating him throughout preseason. He might shine and claim a spot in the first team, or perhaps he'll need a loan. Either way, Rodgers made it clear Osman will be involved with the senior squad, so expect him to get those opportunities to prove himself. Rodgers also touched on departing youngster Daniel Cummins, who officially signed for West Ham yesterday. He's not shying away from the fact Cummins is gone, but the arrival of Osman keeps things balanced. Osman has already joined in training, spotted in the sessions alongside Dan H. and Osman Negrin, and Tierney are yet to join the on-pitch drills. But Negrin has been mingling at Lennoxtown, chatting with teammates. All in all, the new boys are easing in. Then came the big picture transfer talk. Jerry McCullough pointed out they've made a brisk start. By July 2nd, we've already seen 4 signings, with a 5th apparently imminent. Rodgers didn't shy away from confirming the club's intent to continue quickly. Amura and Hayato are expected soon, he said. And while they're not tearing the squad apart, Rodgers emphasized the importance of freshness. He put it plainly: freshness keeps everyone on their toes. It's either a new manager or new players to avoid stagnation. We saw the issue last season. Despite winning the league by a large margin, there was a slump in motivation, particularly in the league's second half. The cup final defeat stung, and that dip nearly carried into something worse, so Rodgers is pushing for renewal, adding a few new signings to sharpen the existing core, and aiming for a similar flying start to the season as last year. When asked about Greg Taylor's departure, Rodgers confirmed the club acknowledged it on July 1st. Taylor signed for another Scottish outfit, and Celtic marked his departure in their way bagpipes and Braveheart-style face paint included, typical Celtic. On Instagram, Taylor summed up 6 remarkable years with 200 appearances and 11 trophies, though by my count he actually has a dozen. He explained he was cup-tied in one of the early cup wins, so he doesn't count that one. Genuine modesty, but I'd say 12's the right number. Either way, that's a brilliant haul, and 10 players would trade 6 years and 11 or 12 trophies in a heartbeat. Taylor's outgoing message spoke volumes. He said Celtic truly is one of a kind, and the memory of walking out onto the pitch with his daughter in front of 60,000 fans is something he'll treasure forever. Full credit to him, he gave everything for the hoops, and it's the mark of a man proud to say he did it all. Then there was that shout out from Chris Boyd. Taylor joked that Celtic are the famous And Boyd replied, quickly doubling down that they're the world's most successful team. You can't beat that banter. Towards the end, we touched on Hyunjin Yang. Sky Sports reported interest from Legia Warsaw, and clubs across Europe are monitoring him. Yang has 3 years left on his contract, finished last season with 6 goals and 6 assists, and while his Scottish Cup final performance left a sour taste, he recovered in the last 6 months to record some strong numbers. He's not expected to be the main man on the wing. Forest is presumably ahead of him, but Rodgers saw enough to give him another chance. If he nails double-digit goals this season, that'll be worth it. But if a good offer comes, he wouldn't be devastated to see him go. Enough depth there to cover it. Finally, a quick mention on that Newcastle friendly at Celtic Park later this month. Their allocation was just over 7,000, and they've now been given more tickets. I'd expect maybe 10,000 away fans, which of course leaves a bit of space at Celtic Park, maybe 30,000 home fans for that lunchtime game. Doesn't look like it'll be full, but it'll still be a solid test before the season proper kicks off. Right, that's it for now. Have a great Wednesday, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow, when we'll be just one day from welcome back at Parkhead. Now, picking up from where we left off, let's dive even deeper into what Brendan Rodgers has been cooking up behind the scenes. There's this growing feeling, a kind of bubbling undercurrent, that this preseason might be about more than just fitness drills and friendly matches. It feels like we're witnessing the early steps of a shift, not a total revolution, but definitely a transition toward a more Rodgers-esque Celtic, if you catch my drift. When he spoke during that interview, there was this unmistakable tone of determination in his voice. It's like the disappointment of how last season fizzled out is still fresh in his mind, and he's using that as fuel to kick off the new campaign. On the right foot, that Scottish Cup final defeat still stings. The drop in intensity in the latter stages of the league unacceptable. Brendan's not the type to throw his players under the bus, but you could tell he expects more this time around. He wants hunger, he wants sharpness, and above all, he wants consistency. And the plan to freshen things up isn't just lip service. You look at the signings already confirmed, each of them brings something different. Tierney is the homecoming hero, yes, but this isn't some sentimental reunion. He's still in his prime. That's crucial. He's coming back not just to bring leadership and familiarity, but to push the level on the pitch. He's one of those players who leads by example. And in a squad that maybe coasted a bit last spring, he could be the spark that ignites a new fire. Then there's Negrin, who I genuinely think might surprise a few people. The link through Michael Essien adds a layer of intrigue. You don't often get a player with that sort of recommendation coming through our doors, and the way Rodgers talked about him, his ability to operate both centrally and out wide, it makes you wonder, what's in the tactical playbook? Are we looking at a tweak in formation? Could Rodgers be moving away from the rigid 4-3-3 into something more flexible, a 4,131, where Negrin floats into those half spaces on the right? Imagine him interchanging with Maeda or Abada. That sort of dynamism is exactly what was missing when we got a bit predictable last season. And don't forget about the midfield. Callum McGregor is the heartbeat, obviously, but we need legs around him. We need creativity and drive. Negrin could be that piece. He's got that youthful energy, and if he can gel quickly, he might just lock down a regular starting spot quicker than anyone expects. Plus, if he's linking up well with Gustav Lagerbielke already, that Scandinavian-a-friend connection might end up being one of those sneaky partnerships that just clicks. Now, speaking of potential breakthroughs, let's talk about young Osman. Rodgers was pretty candid there. Preseason is his trial, and that's a big opportunity. Not every young player gets that kind of open runway into the first team. Rodgers clearly sees something, or else he wouldn't even be mentioning his name at this stage. And let's be honest, our track record with young talent has been mixed. Some break through, others vanish into lone limbo, but with Osman the door is wide open. It's on him now. Impress during these next few friendlies, and he could find himself on the bench when the league kicks off, or maybe even starting a League Cup match before the end of August. Rodgers even mentioned Daniel Cummins in the same breath, pointing out that we lost a young player to West Ham but brought in Osman, almost like a symbolic swap. That tells you all you need to know about how seriously the club is taking the development side of things. They're not just chasing big signings, they're building a pathway. Now back to transfers for a second. There's still that buzz around Amura and Hayato, the next names expected through the door. And if we've already landed 4 and we're only at the start of July, you can bet there's more coming. The key word Rodgers used again and again was freshness. He didn't talk about ripping up the squad or throwing out half the team. No, the spine is staying. The core is strong, but what he wants is competition, pressure. That feeling where no one is guaranteed a place, you need that to push standards. And let's be honest, that's been missing at times. Last season, certain games felt like the players were going through the motions. We were getting results, sure, but the intensity just wasn't there. And in Europe, that's fatal. Rodgers knows that. The fans know that. That's why these new signings aren't just about filling gaps, they're about raising the ceiling. And then you look at someone like Greg Taylor moving on. That's part of the cycle, right? He gave us everything for 6 years, over 100 appearances, 11, maybe 12 trophies. He's been a proper servant, no doubt about it. And the way he left with class and a touch of humor shows the kind of character he is. But again, that's the freshness Rodgers is talking about. Sometimes it's just time to let someone new come in. No bad blood, no drama, just football evolving as it should. And maybe that's the broader theme here. Evolution. This isn't a team in crisis. We're champions. But if you stand still in football, you go backwards. Rodgers sees that. He's lived it. And now he's setting the tone for a campaign where standing still isn't an option. Which brings us to Young, the most polarizing player in the squad. Maybe some fans are still fuming about his cup final display. Others see the potential. Rodgers seems to fall somewhere in the middle. He's not throwing him out the door, but he's not promising the world either. It's up to Young now. The talent is there, 6 goals, 6 assists, but the consistency isn't. And in a team like Celtic, you need more than flashes. You need moments that matter. Personally, I think there's a player in there. Maybe not a superstar, but definitely someone who could score 10 goals this season, if given the right minutes and the right system. But if a decent offer comes in and he's moved on, I get that too. That's football. Rodgers is being pragmatic. Build the best squad, not the most sentimental one, and sometimes that means making tough calls. As we edge closer to that Newcastle friendly, it's becoming clear this isn't just another preseason. This is a chance to make a statement. Newcastle bringing a huge away support, maybe 10,000, that's mental for a friendly. But it just shows how big these occasions can be. The home end might not be packed, but there's something electric about playing an English Premier League side at Celtic Park, even in a warm-up match. It sets the tone. It gives us a taste of what we'll face in Europe, and for the players, it's a test. Step up, show you belong, or risk falling behind in the pecking order. That's where the excitement really lies for me, not just in the names on the team sheet, but in the energy around the club. Rodgers isn't settling. The players can't settle, and the fans, we definitely won't settle. We're hungry for another league title, hungry to make noise in the Champions League, and hungry to see this team evolve into something special. So as we count down the final days before Celtic are back in proper action, remember, this isn't just the start of another season. This could be the start of something bigger, something sharper, something fresher. The pieces are coming together. Now it's up to Rodgers and the boys to turn it into a team that can dominate at home and compete abroad. Let's see what the next few weeks bring. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. There's talk in the air, and the rumor mill around Parkhead is spinning once again. Word has it that Celtic could be on the verge of snapping up KEITA KOSUGI, the rising Japanese talent who's been catching eyes both at home and abroad. While no official confirmation has come through, whispers from close to the club suggest the boys are laying the groundwork for what might become a marquee move, not just on the pitch, but in the business books too. KOSUGI, a name well known to J-League followers, has been touted as one of the most technically gifted midfielders of his generation in Japan. Still just 19, the youngster has shown a rare composure in the middle of the park, blending agility and vision with a work ethic that Celtic supporters would surely admire. Though details remain sketchy, sources suggest Celtic are pushing for a long-term deal, hoping to secure KOSUGI before bigger European fish come circling. It wouldn't be the first time the Hoops looked east for talent. The successful stints of Shunsuke Nakamura and, more recently, Kyogo Furuhashi have proven that the Japanese market can offer both quality and commercial appeal. With KOSUGI, the possibilities extend beyond the touchline. His arrival could help solidify Celtic's brand across Asia, tapping into one of the fastest-growing football fan bases in the world. Insiders claim Celtic have been quietly working behind the scenes, with scouts attending several of KOSUGI's matches in the past months. Negotiations are believed to be at an advanced stage, though nothing is signed, sealed, or delivered just yet. But if the deal goes through, it might not only bolster the squad ahead of next season's domestic and European campaigns, it could also mark the beginning of a deeper strategic push into Asian football. For now, it remains just that. Rumor, but as Celtic fans know well, where there's smoke, there's often fire. And this one starting to SMOULDER. Hello, fan, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.